The Scottish collaboration is taking place from Monday the 5th to Sunday the 11th of December. So why not join us, and you might just find your next big obsession. Full details can be found at scottishmurders.com/collab. Trigger warning. In this episode, there's some strong language, mentions of suicide and executions, discussions around sexual acts regarding animals that some people may find upsetting, and adult themes. So listener discretion is strongly advised. Please forgive the audio quality. We sound like we're underwater a lot of the time, but we still decided to share this episode with you, as it is a special one, with a special guest. This episode was a listener request from Candice on Facebook. Hey wee ones, I'm Dawn.
And I'm Cole, and this is Spooky Scottish Murders.
As you may have guessed from the introduction, Cole has joined me today for this special Halloween episode.
Hello!
With a story being from Edinburgh in the 1670s. Now, a lot of the following information I got from edinburgh.org. The Scottish Witchcraft Act came into effect in 1563, with many accused and convicted being strangled to death and burnt at the stake. This obsession with finding and punishing supposed witches, which was known as Satanic Panic, was initiated mainly by King James VI after his boat coming from France with his new wife in it was met with storms.
That's crazy. I didn't think Satanic Panic was a thing until like 1970s or 80s. So it went that far back.
Yeah, totally. That's what it was called.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I read it. It must be true.
All right. Okay. Hail Satan.
He blamed the witches for these storms, but we'll go into more details about that in our episode, The Scottish Witch Trials, which we did in October 2021. So if you want to know more about that, go back and listen to that episode.
I was in that episode, so you should definitely go back and listen.
You weren't in that episode.
I wasn't in that episode, so you shouldn't go back and listen.
This is your first spooky episode. But so King James VI, he was behind many of the witch trials. And in 1590, he oversaw the North Berwick witch trials, which was the first major Scottish witch trial, and it implicated 70 people and spanned 2 years. From the 16th to the 18th century, between 3,000 and 4,000 people were tortured, convicted, and executed as witches in Scotland. And apparently Edinburgh Castle in the 1500s saw more witches being strangled and burnt at the stake than anywhere else in Scotland.
Do you ever stop and think, people should just get a life sometimes? You're like, what were they thinking? Maybe just like crack on with, I don't know.
Well, it was just people they didn't like. I think it was just a lot of finger pointing, wasn't it, back then? Like, I don't like you. But you would be in big trouble if it was like finger pointing.
I would.
Because I would point a finger at you.
Yeah, I know you would.
Definitely a
I
witch.
don't think you'd be the only one. But like, just go and sort your fields out and stuff. Stop accusing people of being witches. Get a grip of yourself.
I know, it was bad. But Janet Horne, she was the last person in Scotland to be convicted and executed of being a witch in 1727 in Dornoch, which is about a 4.5-hour drive north of Edinburgh, and Edinburgh is where our story takes place. While the vast majority of those convicted and executed of being a witch came about after either a neighbour or relatives had pointed the finger at them for being a wee bit different, and confessions only came after questioning, which often included physical pressure or torture. In our story's case, despite there having been finger-pointing of sorts, the confession was entirely voluntary.
I think I would go down that road. Because I think if someone was accusing you of being a witch in that day and age, you're screwed. No matter what you do. You can't prove that you're not a witch.
So you think the best thing to do is say, yeah, I am?
I would.
That's the best thing to do.
No, I would fully steer into that skid and I'd say, I'm 100% a witch. And if you burn me at the stake, your life and the rest of your family's life, through generation and generation, will be haunted and tortured by my demon spirit. they'd shit their pants. And if they're gonna kill me anyway, I'm going out with a bang.
But what if the finger was never pointed at you though? You're like, what if it never was?
Would be.
All right, it would be.
It would be. Have you seen me?
It's in your house. It's spooky.
Yeah. Anyway, you didn't need to have anything spooky about you back in that day.
No, you didn't.
All you needed to do was like, oh, I made that loaf of bread rise. And they're like, witch! And you did. So, fuck them. I'd be like, yeah, your whole family and the rest of the generations are screwed. Here's my little curse. And that would be...
You do know that won't work, right? You aren't going to come back.
They don't know that.
Yeah.
Anything bad that happens in their lives,
they're going to blame you.
Witch, Nicole. So yes, I'm fully in support of this woman. What did you say?
Well, no, I didn't. The person I'm going to talk about is not a woman.
Oh,
mm-hmm.
A man.
A man.
A man.
Yeah.
I take it all back then. In that case, he can burn.
Okay, well, let me tell you about the story.
A white man. It's a quote from something, by the way, that you wouldn't have any reference to.
What was it?
It's a quote from New Girl. Have you ever heard of New Girl?
No.
And the guy goes, he comes in, like, they're in daycare, and the kid's been picked up by one of his friends, and he comes into the daycare, and he doesn't know that his friend's picked his child up, and so he asks one of the little kids, have you seen my daughter? And the kid goes, yeah, she was picked up by a man. And he goes, a white man? No, she goes, he was picked up by a white man. And he goes, a white man? No!
Okay, so Thomas Weir was born in Carluke in Lanarkshire, which is about a 1 hour and 17-minute drive southwest of Edinburgh, in 1599, to Thomas Weir, who, according to Wikipedia, was the Laird of Kirkton, and Lady Jane Somerville, who apparently was reported to be clairvoyant. As a descendant of the Weir de Vere family, who were one of the oldest and most powerful families in Lanarkshire, so Thomas was born into privilege. It appeared that Thomas had at least 2 younger sisters. One was called either Jean, after the mum, Jane, or Griselle. Griselle. Now, some reports said that Griselle, she was called Griselle as an unflattering name, but others said that was what her friends called her, Griselle. But I had a wee look, and according to Think Baby Names, Griselle derives from Old German, and the name Griselle means grey battle. And Griselle is a Scottish form of Griselda. Okay. Either her name is Jean, Jane, or Griselle.
Okay.
And I can't find the other sister's name at all.
Okay.
So Thomas Weir went on to have a very distinguished and significant military career, including, according to ScottishPlaces.info, being a soldier rising to the rank of lieutenant with the Covenanters, who supported the idea of a Presbyterian Church of Scotland and were the strictest sect of the Presbyterian Church, where he served under James Graham, who was the first Marquess of Montrose.
That's quite funny because I've got someone on my team at work who's called James Graham is his middle name.
Is he a Marquess of Montrose as well?
Probably.
You better ask him.
I think he's English, so no.
You might have some significant lineage there. The Covenanters were involved in the First English Civil War on the side of the parliamentarians, as they were in conflict with the monarchy of Charles I at the time. Thomas climbed to the rank of lieutenant, and in 1641 he served in Ulster during the Irish Rebellion. According to historycollection.com, he even was a signatory of the Solemn League and Covenant in 1643, which, according to Wikipedia, was an agreement during the First English Civil War between the Presbyterian Covenanters and the English parliamentarians to give them aid on the condition that the Scottish system of church government was adopted in England, which was acceptable as the majority of English members of Parliament were Presbyterians. As he came towards the end of his military career, Thomas Weir returned to his Edinburgh home permanently, and in 1649 or 1650 he was appointed to commander of the Edinburgh Town or City Guard and acquired the rank of Major. Upon him retiring from active service, he was given the honorary title of Captain of the Edinburgh Town or City Guard. Thomas had also married, and his wife Isabel and her daughter Margaret lived in Thomas's Edinburgh home called Bow Head. I'm not sure if it was a flat or a house, but it was located near the top of the prestigious West Bow, which was a winding street that ran from the Royal Mile down towards the Grassmarket. When Thomas's wife died, his sister Jane or Griselle, moved in with him and his stepdaughter Margaret, and became a housekeeper.
Scandal.
Well, she seemed quite happy. It's what was done back then. She was like a spinster. She'd never married, so she was quite happy to be looking after a man and his stepdaughter.
I'm a spinster who's never married, and I would never choose to look after a man.
You're 30.
Yes.
Major Thomas Weir was described as being a tall, thin, sober and serious man. Somber.
I was sober.
Didn't drink. It turned him into strange things. A witch. So no, he was a somber and serious man.
Okay.
And he always wore a long black coat and carried a black staff with him wherever he went.
What a goth. I love them already.
The staff had a carved human head on top.
What a weird goth. He's winning me over by every sentence.
Despite his serious and sombre nature, by all accounts, Major Thomas Weir was a very upstanding member of Edinburgh society. He was a devout presbyterian, a well-respected Christian, an enthusiastic preacher, and the people of Edinburgh and the surrounding areas looked up to him and attended his Covenanters' meetings and prayer meetings, which he undertook in his own home, with exuberance.
Good for him.
Yeah. With him being given the nicknames of the Bowhead Saint, the West Bow Saint, or Angelical Thomas.
Hate them all.
It's not very gothy, is it?
No. For a man that walks around with a
black staff.
A black staff with
a
head, a human head on top of it. Angelic Tom.
Due to his serious and sombre character, he was particularly well suited to his role as captain of the Edinburgh Town or City Guard, especially when it came to actively seeking out and imprisoning royalists. This is when Thomas would become exceptionally cruel and abusive towards those that had been sentenced to death. Do you remember that Major Weir had served under James Graham?
Oh, yes.
Your friend.
I know these people.
The first Marquis of Montrose. Well, he changed side. He was against the royals, but he changed side and became a royalist. But he was caught and sentenced to death for being a traitor, and he was held in Edinburgh to wait his death. And apparently, Thomas Weir would mock and abuse him continually.
Sorry, just the way it's phrased, it's like in my mind. He's James Graham sat in his prison, right? Like behind his little boys, like holding on to them, peeping through, and your man's out there going, "Ha ha! You got caught, stupid idiot."
That's not nice.
I know, but it's a lot worse what he probably actually did.
Yeah, it was evil.
He wasn't just standing there going, like Nelson from The Simpsons or something.
It's another reference I don't get.
You don't know The Simpsons?
I know The Simpsons, but I don't know who Nelson.
Nelson's the bully.
Oh, right.
You remember he always just goes,
oh, yeah. Okay. You watch too much shite.
You don't watch enough TV.
No, I do.
Not the right things.
And even as the prisoners were being led to the gallows, Thomas would be just as cruel. He would laugh at them and make sarcastic comments the whole time. He was just a little shit.
You have to be hung, mug.
Anyway, upon Thomas retiring from the military, he continued his preaching and prayer meetings at his home, as well as attending Covenanters meetings regularly. And he just continued to basically be worshipped and respected by everybody, it would appear. That was until 1670, when he was about 70 years old, and he became ill. Now, there are a couple of different versions about what happened. One is that he was still on his sick bed when he began making bizarre and disturbing statements, and another report says that he'd been ill, but he began to recover, and he was at one of his prayer meetings at his home, or at a Covenanters meeting, getting ready to preach, when he began making these bizarre and disturbing statements.
I can't wait to hear what the statements were.
So wherever he was, this is what he said. Are you ready?
Yeah.
He said that he worshipped the devil, and he'd been practicing black magic for a very long time.
I was going to say, did he just stand up and go, "Hail Satan, hail Satan"? And he actually did. I mean, me and this guy are on the same wavelength.
He also said that he had a lifelong sexual relationship with his sister, Jane or Grizel.
Maybe I don't want to be associated with this man so much anymore.
And he also had sex with lots of women, married, anybody that was in his prayer group that he could just, talk around to having sex with, and beasts. So that's what he stood up and said. You can imagine, a wee bit shocked, a wee bit surprised, this guy that put up on this pedestal.
Angelic Tom. Oh, wee Tommy. Have you heard what Tommy's been saying?
Yeah. Well, yeah, basically, they just dismissed it. They thought, no, that's rubbish, he's been ill, or he is ill.
Well, I hope he wasn't messing about with the beasts.
Well, we'll come to that. There's more.
And then you should probably put a trigger warning on.
Oh, well. But nobody could believe, because he was perfect, they respected him, and like I say, they looked up to him, and they just refused. The community refused to believe that it was true. They just were like, no, he's ill, just forget it. Anyway, he refused to be ignored, Thomas, so he carried on telling everybody that would listen that this is who he was, what he was doing, until eventually one of the church ministers informed the Lord Provost, Sir Andrew Ramsay, and he was also shocked, and no, that's not true, that's rubbish. So what he said he would do is he would send the best doctors in Edinburgh to visit Thomas, and for them to give their opinion on his mental state.
Okay.
So after they spoke to Thomas, each of the doctors said that Thomas was healthy and of sound mind and body, and he was only suffering from a guilty conscience.
Can I just say,
what?
Up until this point, your wee man, Sir Andrew Ramsay, a lot of common sense that went into that decision. I'll send the doctors in.
Yeah.
It's nice how men get that privilege and women just get,
what?
You're a witch.
Yes, isn't it? Yeah.
Burn.
He was like, there, I'm confessing, I'm telling you. And they're like, no,
a man. No.
Don't be silly, you're not very well.
And then the guy goes, let's investigate before we do anything rash, shall we? While the women are on the burning crosses and stuff. Like, okay. Makes sense.
It doesn't, I know. So anyway, they said that, it was a guilty conscience he had, and that he was apparently fearing the terror of God. That's all that was wrong with him. So,
but I wonder why he was fearing the terror of God.
Well, because he'd been worshipping the devil.
Oh, are we going on to tell us that is in fact the truth?
Well, it's up to, we'll just have to wait.
We'll find out, even though you've just told me.
We might find out.
Right.
Well, he's told you. He's the one. I didn't stand up and tell you. He's the one that stood up and said.
The doctors have come out and said.
They've said he's just guilty conscience.
Guilty conscience.
So he must be feeling guilty about what he's doing. Something.
Yeah.
And he's just come out with these random things. Maybe he's just like trying to.
Lots of people claim to have done one thing and they've done something much, much worse. Can't wait to see where this story goes.
Well, so with Sir Andrew Ramsay now, believing a little bit more about Thomas might be telling the truth, because Thomas mentioned that he was having sex with his sister. He decided to visit the sister and find out, she'll tell us what's going on. Maybe this can't be right. So they paid her a visit, the sister, and she backed up everything Thomas said. And she added a few more details of her own as well.
Amazing. Girl power.
Because she backed him up.
Wait, backed you up?
She backed him up and said, aye, everything he said is true.
Aye. So she's dogging him in. Dogging her nasty little brother in.
Aye, but she's also getting herself into trouble because she's saying, we slept together, lol. We did that, totally. He's telling the truth.
Did she, was she a willing participant?
We'll find out.
We'll find out. All right, okay.
Hopefully.
Let's find out some more stuff then.
Apparently the doctors paid a visit to Grizel, Jane as well, and they believed that she was demented. So despite them believing she was demented and he was just feeling guilty, they took them both to the Edinburgh toll booth.
Sorry, can I interrupt?
To question them further.
Can I interrupt? So your man got the doctors to come out and he's like, he said some weird things, but we'll just take it easy. Let's get the doctors out. And then they go to the woman, and the woman goes, well, what he's saying is correct. And they go, she's demented.
Yeah.
Fuck this woman. Okay.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
I think this was the wrong story to do with me,
Yeah, I forgot you've got strong opinions, haven't
Yes.
you? Yeah. So anyway, so they took them to they're at the Edinburgh toll booth, and this is where it all comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's more to come out, but yeah, it's what comes out. So we've got the brother and sister having sex with each other.
This is fact now.
Yes, they both, but I actually wasn't there, but they both said
that they
did this.
Right,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
so fact.
So, and apparently they'd been having sex since Jean or Grizel was a teenager.
Gross.
And it had continued until she was about 50.
Gross.
When at this time, Thomas couldn't stand her wrinkles anymore.
Sounds
so
like a man.
He moved on to the stepdaughter, Margaret.
Gross.
He's
just a man.
So
It's just like
just not
a horrible
loyal,
man. Yeah. But not loyal to his sister at all.
No, he's not.
You
don't like your wrinkles.
He couldn't just keep fucking his sister.
Oh, God. But anyway, didn't stop there. And as I said earlier, he then moved on to have sex with lots of women in his prayer group, and whether they're married or not, he just seduced them.
I bet he was out there saying, God told me that you need this.
Yeah. Or was it the devil?
Oh
no, couldn't be the devil, because he was free, yeah.
But people did that. People did that, you know.
Did they?
They told them, it was more medical stuff. And they said, like, there was this one guy, I can't remember all the details because I'm not the researcher and writer of this show, just FYI. But there was this one guy in America who, like, trained young Olympic people, gymnasts.
Uh-huh.
And he would say that he was going to, like, give them a sports massage. And he would touch them.
And he said that, and this is what they needed.
It's what they needed. And because they're so young, they don't know any different.
He's young. I thought you meant like adults.
No, because he started young. He started with them very, very young.
Nasty.
So he would say that this is going to help you with your gymnastics. This is going to relieve the pressure of your muscles and stuff. And he would touch them. So that's probably what's.
Yeah, he's probably said.
Well, he might have. Well, we don't know because we weren't back in
they were
those
all
times.
No, but they were all married and all that. Yeah. So, and if they were fearing God, it had to be that he was saying something. Otherwise,
but like. Cheating back then was a sin.
Yeah, no,
not so much now. No, but what I mean was, how is he getting away with that? Like, they must be telling them not to say anything, or maybe the women were scared.
But anyway, yeah. So he had sex with animals too, including sheep, cows, and a horse.
Right, see, this is where I draw the line.
Well, I told our gran this story. I'm going to tell you, let me finish this bit, and then I'm going to tell you what she said about the horse, right? And bearing in mind she's 90 years old, I'll tell you in a minute, right?
Yeah, I know, but I worry about our gran sometimes. Like, I don't know what the outcome of this story's going to be. I don't know what she's going to say. I'm scared. Carry on. I need to get to this end bit now.
So he would do this to the sheep, the cows, and the horse in a field near the city. But apparently, at one point, he was witnessed having sex with the horse by a woman in his prayer group. This was about 1651 or 1652, and she immediately told the minister of the church. But when Thomas was asked about this, well, he denied it, and he said, "No, I didn't. I wasn't doing that." And the woman, she had no evidence; she couldn't back it up, so she was whipped and shamed and harassed by the members of the church as being a liar for slandering Thomas. And she couldn't take it anymore, and she took her own life.
And you wonder, you wonder why I've got such, air quote, strong views.
So I was telling her gran about this story. I was just giving her a wee gist. And, I mentioned about how he was having sex with the sheep and the cows and the horse. And she said that, well, I can understand the sheep. That they've been doing that for years. We're always doing that up where I was from, all that. But the horse, I mean, what did he do? Did he have a step ladder? Did he have to have a step ladder to get up? And then what? Did the horse just stand there as he banged into it?
She's really thought that through. She really thought that through.
That's what she said.
She's went a logical route. Like, what's happened there? How's that happen?
She said, I don't believe it. I don't believe the horse is going to stand there while he does that. But the sheep, as for the sheep, yeah, that was just
many people have done these things with horses, though, so they must, and listen.
You're like really shocked there. Usually you've got like a smart aleck answer, and you're just like, yeah, I don't know, got nothing.
I mean, she's used logic to come up with what she said. I mean, I don't know about the sheep shagging in Scotland and stuff.
Oh, she said that was just a given. She was like, yeah, they do that all the time. Oh.
Shouldn't do it. Okay.
Just heard stories.
Granny told a story about. No, do you not remember the story about the giants who used to cross the in Skye? They used to cross the. You know where she lived?
Aye.
Granny used to say that giants used to cross the narrows in Skye of the water. Like they were so. Have you not? Has she not told you this story about the giants and fairies?
I know about the fairies, but the fairies aren't fairies. They're just little people.
Right. Well, these are big people. Yeah. So Granny's got stories about little people and big people. Okay.
And sheep shagging as well.
Yeah, Granny's heard a lot of stories in her 90 years. Okay, I take them all. Well, if they're wholesome, I'm like, yeah, I'm taking that. I'm believing that. Did I tell you about what she said about the trinkets she gave me?
No.
Yeah, I did.
Tell me what was it again?
She's our grand's got these owl salt and pepper shakers that she's allegedly had for years and years and years and years and years.
Which she has, because I had them. I knew them when I was a
right. Okay, so our grand's got these owls, salt and pepper shakers,
a green and a red one,
and she wanted to give them to me as a housewarming gift. And so I was over our house, and we finally got to exchange the housewarming gift. I've been in my house 3 years. And she handed them over to me, and she looked me dead in the eyes, and she went, "You have to remember this story." And I went, "Okay." Okay, Granny. And still dead in the eyes, above me as well, looking down at me.
I was above you, just
because I was that down. You're a giant. I was the giant she was talking about. And she looked me in the eyes and went, "Don't forget this story. My dad stole these from Woolworths." And I was like, sold. What an amazing story. Accepted in the bank. She was like, "You can never forget." And I was like, "I will never forget." I was like, "That's badass." So yeah, no. And then obviously, I've already told Dawn this, but I just shoved the salt and pepper shakers in my pocket, thinking nothing of it, of my coat jacket. And I was like, and then later on, I put my hands in my pockets, and there was something grainy in my pockets, and took it out. There was bloody 60-year-old pepper sprinkled all around my fucking jacket.
Yeah, I spoke to her about that, and she said, "Oh, I don't know how long that's been in there. Years that's been in there."
I was like, "I know, it was a relic." I was like, "Oh, it's this. It's the pepper." Everywhere I go, I've got a little bit of spice to me.
Oh, no, that's
anyway,
funny.
the giants, they used to cross. The giants used to cross the narrows in Skye when the tide went out.
Right.
The tide was so low that the giants could just walk across the ocean.
I've never heard that one. I'm gonna have to ask her about it.
I guess that really brings new meaning to the over the sea to Skye song, does it not? Over the sea to Skye.
Oh, God. So anyway, it didn't end there. When Thomas's sister was questioned, she said that in September 1648, a demonic figure in a fiery coach pulled by 6 horses had taken her and Thomas to Musselburgh, which is located a half-hour car journey east of Edinburgh, where they apparently met with the devil, and they'd both made a pact with him. And in return, they had been given supernatural powers. At which point, she showed a mark on her forehead when she frowned that was shaped like a horseshoe, and she claimed this mark had been given to her by the devil himself, claiming that Thomas also bore the mark of the devil on his body.
Okay, why would the devil be giving you such a shit mark? He wouldn't give you a horseshoe. He would go all in. Right, it's a number 6. Or something like that. Just a horseshoe. Boring. I'd rather that it's something like
6.
The devil was here. Just across your forehead. Right. And 2, this is my last one.
There's more.
Yes. Right. See, people always say this about the devil. I would love supernatural powers. Don't get me wrong. I would sell my soul for them. But have you ever thought, right, the devil punishes all the evil people? Does that not make him good?
Yeah, right, that's right.
He'll say.
Yeah, you go to hell with the
you
devil.
go to hell,
Yeah.
and the devil spends the rest of eternity punishing you.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. He's punishing the bad people.
So he's not going to give the bad people on earth powers to be bad.
No,
that's just
because he might do, because he might say like that's temptation, isn't it? Here, I'll give you these powers.
Well, make the pact. It's like, oh well, you're going to come. If you do this, then you're going to be bad. So that means when you die, you're mine.
Yeah. He's just an entrepreneur, really, isn't he? He's just getting more business.
But then, if that was the case, and he knew he was going to be going to hell and living like that, why would he confess? Why would he feel guilty?
Because he's done all this bad stuff.
Yeah, but he knows that he's made a pact with the devil, so he's
had it. You can still have like a moral compass towards the end of his life. Like, oh fuck, I fucked up there.
I don't think it.
I just really fucked up. Listen, guys, I sold my soul to the devil. I'm worried I'm going to die soon. I just need to let you know what I've been up to.
Okay. She also went on to say that Thomas would regularly be taken in this fiery coach to either Musselburgh or Dalkeith, which is also a 30-minute journey but southeast of Edinburgh, where he would meet the devil or one of his minions, and that on one occasion the devil had given Thomas his black staff that had powers that would keep him safe, which also enabled him to be an eloquent and powerful preacher.
Oh, he keeps going to meet the devil in his little fiery carriage. The devil does not have time to be fucking around with these minuscule little people.
Well, he said are his minions.
Right.
So he didn't come every time.
Right. But he came once. I doubt that. I
highly
highly
doubt that. To give him his staff, his magical staff.
In this day and age, right? We're in 16 something, maybe 17.
No, we're in 1648.
1648.
This is when that happened, yeah.
People were out here torturing people. They were pulling people apart, limb from limb. All sorts of horrific shit in the 16 wherever it is. They had no rules. There was no laws. You could do what you wanted and beat people.
What's your point?
Why would the devil be fucking around with a preacher? He doesn't care. This man is just a horrible, horrible man. He's blaming the devil, the innocent devil. How could you?
The innocent devil.
How could you?
When they went to their home to take Jane or Griselle and Thomas to be questioned in the toll booth, she insisted that he had to take his staff away from him because it had all the powers in him. So the staff was taken away. Get it? Yeah. When they were questioned, they just both stuck to their stories.
What, they was fucking cheap and stuff?
Yes.
Right, okay, good story.
But then there was Jane or Griselle, she made other shocking, strange statements. She said that, well, according to folklorescotland.com, a fairy had at one time,
Hear the fairies?
Yeah, a little person, gave her a piece of tree root, an amulet, and silver, and that when she returned to her spinning wheel, because she liked to spin, she was always spinning yarn, when she returned there, she found that these things that she'd been given and the little fairy had spun more yarn for her that any one person or any person could have spun in that amount of time that passed.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was just that was it. Yeah.
Wow. That's so impressive. That fairy did a good job.
It did a good job.
Yeah.
And anyway, so with the pair sticking to their stories and being unrepentant.
I thought he was repentant.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I was just going to say, despite the doctors thinking that Thomas confessed because he felt guilty, they were both imprisoned at the toll booth until their trial. And this is when the strange occurrences and sightings that some in the community had witnessed when it came to the Weir family began to come out. So, apparently, according to spookyisles.com, a few nights before Thomas Weir suddenly suffered a fit of conscience and stood up in front of everybody and made the shocking statements, a respectable local lady and her maid were walking past the Weir's home when they heard laughing and cackling coming from inside. Just before a woman twice as tall... What?
Sound effects.
Just before a woman twice as tall as any regular woman of that time came out of the Weir house, still cackling and apparently writhing violently.
Just having a little jig.
Yeah, I know. They felt this was very strange. I mean, imagine a woman
a house
laughing and
sorry, a tall woman.
A tall woman.
How dare she?
So she either pushed past the two women and carried on, going down the street cackling and writhing, or she was ahead of the women and she stayed constantly one step ahead of them, but then she went down a narrow close and then she disappeared. Even though they went quickly to have a look, she just disappeared.
Oh my God.
Disappeared.
Scary.
Despite the close being well lit.
Wow.
She wasn't there.
In the
In the night, it was well lit.
In 1648?
Yes.
Well lit?
Well, this is the 1670s now, so things have changed.
Right, okay.
They've advanced.
I think they're using well lit very loosely.
But even though they couldn't see her, and it was well lit, her eerie laugh continued to be present.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. And the two women found this really bizarre, which I find bizarre that they found bizarre.
No, because if I was walking down the street and some woman was like flailing her arms around and going, ah, I'd be like, oh. I should probably ask if she needs help.
I suppose so. But anyway, they went home and told their story. So there was that one. Another story that emerged was about Thomas's black staff, which he was never seen without, other than when, obviously, they're saying that it would be seen going to the shops for him and doing errands. It also was seen opening the doors at home for him. And
obviously
it also apparently been seen walking, if that's what staffs do, walking down the street in front of Thomas, independent of Thomas, clearing the way for him. out the way.
Clearing the way of what?
People in the way of his master.
See, I wouldn't need this man to down the line somewhere confess, If I'd seen him with his staff knocking people out the way, I'd be like, wait, that man's not, there's something going on there, right? I wouldn't need to wait until he was 70 going, I've done some bad things, guys. I'd be like, I fucking know you have. I've seen you with that staff, kicking people with it and stuff. It's got a mind of its own.
Oh, no, it's nuts.
I mean, if anyone still has this staff, I would love to get my hands on it at some point. I wouldn't use it for bad.
You would, so you should see the glint in her eyes.
Only
pure evil.
Only for the men.
But anyway, he never was, because he was never without his staff. Another story came out, even though it was off doing the errands. But when he
Sorry, was it getting the messages?
Getting the messages in.
Where's your staff today? Where's your staff today, Thomas? Oh, he's just off getting the messages for me, hen. I just needed some brown bread and eggs.
No, but anyway, so you know how his sister said that the staff had all the powers in it and to help him be a preacher. Well, apparently, on the rare occasion when he wasn't with his staff, when he was preaching...
And it wasn't getting the messages.
He wasn't his usual exuberant self. He needed that staff.
Those animals aren't the only ones that have been abused by this man. That staff has been getting some bad times. Poor staff. Staff, if you're out there, I will never treat you badly. Come to me.
So another thing, back to the yarn again. A story came out that apparently Jane, she could spin faster than anybody that they ever knew. Well, she's saying it's the fairies, but then the story's coming out that they're backing it up by saying, she could spin, it was right, she could spin faster than anybody.
But if you listen to the woman, they'd know it wasn't her, it was the fairy.
Well, she was adding to it. It was adding to this.
She's like, the fairies can do it, but so can I.
You can do it faster than them. And apparently as well, that if anybody else tried to weave this yarn that she was at break, only she could do it.
Course, yeah. This is Disney. Like, Disney has picked up a lot of this up, no? This is Sleeping Beauty.
It's a few of the films.
With the staff thing. I'm sure I
Wicked Witch.
Right, there we go. Okay, thank you. Carry on.
What?
I couldn't think about that. I couldn't remember.
Yeah. Anyway, all this is going on. All this gossip's going on. But then the two of them stand trial on the 9th of April, 1670. They're both unrepentant. They continue to be unrepentant.
So, sorry to interrupt you again. This is why I got kicked off the podcast, by the way. So they were innocent, yeah? And then they were guilty. And then they were like, oh, fuck, we're guilty. We're bad guilty. And now they're like, well, I don't want to. I think we're going to unrepent all of this stuff that we just said. It's not true.
No.
Okay, brilliant.
So they're unrepentant. And then, according to Occult World, Thomas said to any doctors or clergy that would listen to him, I know my sentence of damnation is already sealed in heaven, but I find nothing within me but blackness and darkness, brimstone and burning to the bottom of hell.
That statement in itself, I've got issue with. Right? So, hold on, he said,
already sealed in heaven.
I know my sentence of damnation is already sealed in heaven.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say, I'll be burning at the bottom of hell. Which one is it?
He's confused, isn't he?
Yeah, he was repenting and then not repenting anymore, so it could go either way.
He was never repenting. So anyway, everybody believed there was only one outcome at the trial.
What was that he's going to heaven or hell? Which one is it? I don't know.
So anyway, what they were charged with, according to the Scotsman newspaper in 2016, despite Thomas and his sister confessing to having made a pact with the devil, of using black magic and witchcraft for many years, apparently it was thought that to save face, not them, but the courts, to save face, the pair were only charged with unnatural sexual practices. However, I read another source said...
Oh, actually, sorry. That's the only thing I would charge them with as well.
Because the rest of it's really bollocks.
Aye, but see again, we're using... A man's involved, and we're using sense here. We're going, they've not made a pact with the devil.
Yeah.
They're just unusual sexual practices.
I'm surprised she didn't get charged with being a witch. I'm surprised.
Yeah, well, that's because I guess it was because if he's going down, she's going down, and they can't send him down, so they can't send her down. But which is shocking.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But then another source, so that was what one source said. Another source said that Thomas was charged with incest, adultery, and bestiality, and that Jane Grizel was charged with incest, committing sorcery, witchcraft, and consulting with witches, necromancers, and devils. So that's what another source is saying.
Yeah, so the other source said he was done for incest, adultery, and bestiality. Yeah. Fact. All right, good with that one. And she was charged with incest, committing sorcery, even though he had the fucking staff that was walking down the shops every weekend. Witchcraft, right? Even though he was the one on the horse carriage from hell, right? And consulting with witches, necromancers, and the devil. Yeah. Even though he stood up and gone, that devil, me and him, down the pub for drinks every weekend, besties. But he's only been done with actual things, and she's been done with mental things. Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, whatever the exact charges were, Thomas and Jane or Grizel, they pleaded guilty to everything.
They pleaded guilty to it, right? Okay.
They pleaded guilty to everything. Okay. Whatever that was, it was everything.
Okay.
So neither of them had anybody at the trial to defend them, because nobody was going near this case.
Because they're talking to the devil.
Yeah, so...
I'd be there, front row center.
So it didn't look good, especially when the pair's sister was called to the trial. And she said that when Thomas was about 27 years old, she had apparently found him and their sister Jane or Grizel, together in bed and naked, and that she had seen the bed shaking, and had heard some scandalous language between them.
Scandalous language? What will the people say?
And then it was also heard at the trial how Thomas had sex with his dead wife's daughter as well.
Oh God, yeah, I'm glad that you continued that sentence, because I thought you were going to stop at dead wife. I genuinely thought, I've got to add this to the mix now.
Oh no.
I was already pretty depressed about it all, but... So, you see that I've taken relief in that he's not having sex with his dead wife.
Did you honestly think I was going to say the dead wife?
I did, yeah.
So after what looked like it was only 2 days of trial, Thomas was convicted of adultery, incest, 1 count of fornication,
fornication,
and 1 count of bestiality.
Gross.
and Jean was convicted of witchcraft, and the pair were inevitably sentenced to death.
At least they're both having to die.
With Major Thomas Weir being sentenced to be strangled and burnt at the stake, and Jane or Griselle being sentenced to hang.
I accept these charges.
Oh, do you?
I do.
You're happy with that?
Because I do feel like in this situation, obviously, I don't believe in this was a different time, right? This isn't now. We wouldn't be doing that now. But at least he was sentenced to the bad one, you know? Like, he's going to be strangled and burnt to death. And she's, you know, hopefully quick. Which is nice. Well, it's not nice, but you know what I mean. But you know what? No, but you know what I mean, because usually it would be the woman being burnt at the stake and the man's just like in the crowd like, got away with that one. But this time, how can I ask you a question? How do you suppose that you burn and strangle someone to death? Because if
they're strangling them first, and then just for good measure, they're.
Are you sure?
Them. Yes, I'm positive. Yeah.
Why
would they do it the other way?
I thought like they might set on like from his feet and then just really quickly like, come on. Like someone else might be getting burnt in that process. I thought that would be exciting.
Oh my God, only you.
I don't think it would be exciting. But you know what I mean? That would have been the more exciting of the two. It's a danger game, that is.
Oh wow. Okay. Major Thomas Weir faced his death sentence on Monday the 11th of April 1670.
This has been going on for years. 1648 we started in.
No, he only confessed in 1670. It's just I've gone back over and told you what people thought happened. He's been doing it a long time.
In courts with the devil since 1648 at least.
Yeah, he has, at least.
Scandalous.
He was taken to the stake, which was on the boundary of Edinburgh and Leith, apparently called Gallowlee, with Leith being an 11-minute drive northeast of Edinburgh, with ScottClans.com saying that it was just off Leith Walk, near where Pilrig Street lies today. Just so you know, if you ever fancy a wee visit. However, even as the rope was placed around Thomas's neck...
Whoa!
What? See, getting strangled first.
Oh, strangle. Well, that indicates that someone would be using their hands.
It did, didn't it? But no, it's just hanging.
So he got hung and she got hanged. Right, so it was the same. So I take back everything I said previously about that.
They're just doing an extra on him for some reason.
Right.
Not really sure.
I mean, it's really disappointing because at first I thought he was getting strangled and burnt at the same time. And I was like, whoa, that's amazing. That's impressive. And then you were like, no, he just got strangled to death and then burnt. And I was like, right, well, someone's still getting up close and personal and really like getting the life out of him. And I was just hanging. Oh, that's really.
I'm sorry, I've disappointed you.
I know, you didn't build that up in the right way at all. I'm really disappointed.
It was you that built it up.
I didn't. It said he was strangled and burnt. There was no any indication of them being separate times. I was really excited about the prospect of that.
You're crazy.
Can you imagine watching that?
Yes, I'm imagining it in my head now ever since you said it.
I mean, it would be horrific. I don't think I'd enjoy it, but if I did have that like inside me, like psychopath, maybe not just people who don't get grossed out by stuff really easily. Like if I was one of those people, I mean, it's not really easily, is it? If someone's getting strangled and
that's awful.
Burned.
No,
yeah, that would be horrific
it would
to
be.
Watch.
To do, imagine they would be traumatized doing it.
No, people in this time were up to all sorts, Dawn. Like they were putting people in the walls and stuff. And it's
what walls
of the castle?
Okay,
right. So I'd be hyped to see it in a way because I'd be like, wow, that's going to be how are they going to do that? The how of it all would really entice me. And then it'd get started and I'd be like, oh, got to leave this situation, don't want to watch this.
That'd be brutal.
Okay.
So anyway,
I'm glad we talked that out.
So as they're placing the rope around his neck, he was asked if he wanted to ask God for mercy.
And he said, "Hail Satan!"
No, he didn't. Sorry, gosh, this is just a disappointing story for you, isn't it? No, he didn't. What he said was, "Let me alone. I will not. I have lived as a beast. I must die as a beast."
What a boring arsehole. If you're gonna go out, right, like this is what I think about like The Chase. You know the game TV show, The Chase, right? Yeah. If you're gonna go out, go hard or go home. Go for the big numbers. I've lived as a beast. I won't.
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. No, I'd be like, fucking gonna fuck you up once I'm dead, bro. Just go hard. Like, you're gonna die. If you know you're gonna die, if you know there's no way of getting out of this situation, I'm gonna die, you can be like, leave me alone. Or are you gonna be like, I'm gonna mess with some people's heads right now? I know what I would do.
You're messed up, though. Bloody hell. Anyway, what was it? So they were asking him if he wanted to, ask for God's forgiveness. Because that's what they decided, that he was guilty. He was just had a guilty conscience. And he was like, no.
He's admitted to it the whole way through.
I know.
They've taken him to court and he said, no, I'm good. I did all this stuff.
I know.
And at the end, they're like, you want to just talk to God for a second? He's like,
no.
Fuck off. I'm going to see the devil.
So they were wrong. He didn't have a guilty conscience at all. They were just talking rubbish. So anyway, he was strangled to death and then his body was burned. However, those who witnessed his body being burned, as well as his trusty staff, which was also put into the fire to burn.
Oh,
so you've had it. It won't be coming to you.
You still heard this story. I'm so excited. I was like, yes. Here comes my supernatural powers and it's been burned.
Yes, it's been burned.
Oh.
But it did take an inordinately long... But it did take an inordinately long time for his body to burn and for the staff. And the staff, longer than it would a normal person, because he wasn't a normal person. And the staff was apparently seen jumping and writhing about because it wasn't happy.
Oh, poor
it wasn't
staff.
happy about being in there.
Didn't want any of this.
It
also,
took a long time.
But how are they gauging on how long a fire takes to burn a body in this time?
Remember, they've done a lot of witches in that, so they're probably got somebody's like a timer. Right, okay.
No, they've got a timer, do they?
Stopwatch.
Yeah.
5 minutes, 34 seconds.
Well, he took a long time.
Well, also a fire isn't enough to burn a body.
No, I know.
Like till it's gone.
Well, it's gone now.
Oh, poor staff.
Poor staff. It gave up a good fight, though.
I know, but
it
didn't deserve that. If the spirit of the staff is out there anywhere, please come to me.
So anyway, Jane or Grizel Weir's hanging took place in the Grassmarket in Edinburgh on the 12th of April 1670, the day after her brother was strangled and burned.
Sure.
And it was reported that Jane or Grizel didn't die without drama either. She apparently was standing at the gallows with a rope around her neck, and she started to attempt to remove her clothing. Right. She was just like, she wasn't going out, what did you say? She was going out loud, going loud.
Hard to go.
What's going on? She was going loud.
She's having it hard, bro.
And so she was apparently the guy that one of the guys that was going to hang her, that was hanging her. He took umbrage to this, and he apparently told the hangman, "Oh, just get on with it," and she slapped him across the face.
Nice.
She did.
This is what I like.
Yeah, there you go. She slapped him, but then that was it. It was over.
She didn't do much wrong then. She was sleeping with her brother, which is awful and disgusting and not right. But she wasn't. That's the worst of it, no?
Well, yeah. Other than her spinning her yarn.
Oh yeah, the yarn.
And lots of yarn. So anyway. The pair of them were then, what was left of Thomas, were then buried at the base of the gallows at Shrub Hill, as it was customary. And Shrub Hill is a 7-minute drive northwest of Edinburgh.
Thanks for the traffic update.
There you go. Now you'd think that was the story over. The story of Major Thomas Weir.
It's just getting worse and worse.
So you'd think that the story would fade over time about, their antics and what went on and their execution, but it didn't. It seemed to grow in momentum, with stories being told in the community about how there had always been strange goings-on at the Weir house, such as there having been lights on in the rooms.
God forbid.
I know. That music and other strange noises could be heard coming from the house at odd times of the night. Of others having heard females coming from the house shrieking and laughing manically.
Not the females.
As they went down the streets. And of hearing the constant hum of Jane. Oh, but this is after their death.
Yeah.
This is after their death. This is after their death. Sorry, I didn't make that clear. So after their death, the lights were seen on in the rooms. Even though nobody was living in the house, it was like empty. Yeah. Sorry, I should have raised. And there's some strange noises at odd times of the night. Females shrieking coming from the house. The hum of our wheel, our spinning wheel.
Or Grizel's
yes,
wheel.
Spinning wheel.
Right, yeah.
It's always coming from the house. And then the tales became even more spooky. Some of the people who lived in the vicinity of the Weir house told that late at night they would be woken by the sound of a horse and carriage careering up and down the winding streets.
Now, is it the devil's horse and carriage, or is it that horse that was,
well,
not treated very nicely?
Many believing it was there to take the Major and his sister to hell.
But they were already buried.
They were buried, and I don't know why it keeps careering up and down the street continually night after night. I mean, how many times do you
Someone just needs to give them directions.
However, I'm good at directions. I could easily tell you how many miles it is out of Edinburgh.
They're fucking buried down the road, mate. Could you just piss off?
Anyway, they were always frightened to look. They were always like hiding under their covers, like, oh, I'm not looking, you go and look, no, you look. And anyway, when somebody did go and look, there was nothing there. No sign of it.
Oh, God.
But then others said that they actually did see a carriage being pulled by 6 fiery horses, waiting outside West Bow, presumably waiting for the ghost of Major Thomas Weir to take him away.
Isn't it mad how times have changed? Because if I saw, if I saw a fiery horse, first would be we should establish, is it a real horse and a fake horse? This is obviously a fake horse. This is devil's horse, right? So let's just imagine it's a fake horse on fire. I wouldn't be hiding under my covers.
Well, no, because they weren't even... Yeah, they were not seeing it. They were just hearing the careering of the carriage up and down. And
you said some people saw
Some
it.
people did actually see it, but not from their hiding perspective. Maybe when they were walking the streets.
I would have been one of those people. Have you seen that fiery horse over there? Wow. That's what I would do.
Oh, you'll like this.
I'd be like, fiery horses and the devil. You got another one of those canes going. What was it?
A staff.
Got a spear staff.
Well, talking of the staff, you'll like this. Others going about at night in Edinburgh near the home of the Weirs said that they could hear the distinct click, click, click of his staff going up and down the streets, apparently looking for its master.
The stick survived.
It's there. If you want it, get to Edinburgh.
I do fucking want it. I think I've made it very clear. Is this usually a PG podcast now that I've left?
There'll be loads of warnings on this. You've swore I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
No, I don't swear.
I really went in on Helen.
Podcast has gone right down. Yeah. And others have also said that they've seen Major Weir leaving his home and getting onto the back of a headless black horse and galloping away.
Right. Okay.
So there's been loads of sightings.
Next.
As well as Jean's blackened face being seen as well.
Why she got a blackened face?
That's a good point. Maybe from all the mud poured onto her. You would have thought he would have had a blackened face.
Who's Jean?
Oh, Jean Griselle.
Should we see if we can do it in sync? Jean Griselle. Jean Griselle. Did it? Okay.
Right.
Okay, she's got a blackened face. He was burnt, but whatever. Okay.
Right. Okay. So anyway, yeah, you're right. That doesn't make sense. So despite like I said, the Weirs' home was empty. Nobody would ever go into it. It was empty for over a century. Everybody was frightened of it. Although, like I said, through the night there was lights are seen in the house. The shapes seen are larger than normal, wandering about the rooms. And then the shrieks of laughter as well.
Larger than normal shadows?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know.
Must be those giants.
But a lot of people thought that it was actually Major Thomas and his sister partying with the devil and his minions.
Okay.
Having a lovely time.
I'd like the invite. Take that invite.
So anyway, it lay, apart from the partying going on, it lay empty for over 100 years. It was haunted. Nobody wanted to live there because of what had happened. That was until 1780, when an elderly ex-soldier, William, and his wife, they either bought it cheaply or they rented it cheaply. I'm not sure. Possibly rented it.
From who?
Well, I don't know, because I don't even know whether he owned it. I think he probably owned it. But I still don't know whether it was a house or a flat at this point.
Right, carry on
But
then.
anyway, so rented, bought, I'm going to go with rent, because cheap, and he was poor, so I think it'd be rent. So anyway, this couple moved in for the night, but they only lasted one night before fleeing in fright, because they were in bed at night, and suddenly an apparition of a calf appeared. Now, it was either looking at them through the bedroom window.
I'm sorry, right? If I woke up in the middle of the night and there was a calf looking at me, I'd be like, how the fuck did you get in my house?
It was an apparition. It was like a ghosty
of a calf.
Of a calf.
I literally wake up and I saw a calf going, woo. I'd be like, it's pretty cool, that. Oh, cute. Nice. A lovely little segue from my sleep. Enjoy that. And then I'd go back to sleep again.
I'd just leave it in. Well, it was either looking
it's
in the
not real.
It was looking. It was looking in the window at them, or it was standing at the foot of the bed just staring at them, or it was actually put its front feet, its front paws. What do you call them? His front legs, his front legs and hoofs up in the bed and stared at them. Anyway, they were freaked the hell out. So
well, now listen. We don't know if it's a house or a flat. Now, if it was a flat and I was in bed and there was a calf staring through the window, that's a different story. It's time to leave this house. Like the second story. Mind you, sorry, just another segue to our family life. Mum's got that conservatory. You have to, don't know if you can post these pictures somewhere, but you must. Maybe. Anyway, Mum's got the conservatory, and then often Charlie stands up on the second floor window looking through it, like, let me in. And that's quite scary. Yeah, it's quite spooky.
Oh, that is spooky.
But that's real life.
So after that, nobody lived in the property again. But the strange goings on, the lights in the windows, the music, the hum of the spinning wheel, the laughter, the shrieking, and the sighting of Major Weir, the headless horse, and the fiery coach all continued, with it being reported still to be happening in 1825. So it's a long time later.
Okay.
Having stood mainly empty and neglected for about 160 years, in 1830, according to inews.co.uk, it was reported by Sir Walter Scott, who, according to Wikipedia, was a Scottish novelist, poet, playwright, and historian. He reported that West Bow was in the process of being torn down. However, others claimed that the final demolition took place in 1878.
Right.
However,
why have you got people cutting around in this time lying about whether a house is being brought down or not?
I don't know.
Oh, it's just boring.
Well, it's just boring.
It is. Stop lying about the house.
I know. Well, there's even more lies about the house. Because it turns out that it never actually was completely destroyed.
What did the house ever do? I heard myself getting really upset about the house. I was like, why is this happening? Got a real attachment to this house.
Well, in 2014, it was discovered that parts of Thomas Weir's property, whether it was a flat or a house, was incorporated into a new building that had been erected on the site.
Again, hope it's not like a second floor flat, because that is some mad architecture going on if they've managed to incorporate that into a new building. Yeah. Just keep the floor in. Might need to float for a little while. Get Thomas Weir's staff out.
So nowadays, the building is a Quaker meeting house. And according to inews.co.uk, the main part of the house is now located in the toilet area of the building that is now there.
Okay.
And members of staff at the Quaker meeting house have apparently seen Major Thomas Weir's ghostly figure walking through the walls between the rooms.
Isn't that funny that Jean she didn't come back?
No, she didn't come back. She didn't come back.
After getting her final revenge of slapping people and going mad, really scaring people. She just was like, peace. Never came back.
Well, that's the story of Major Thomas Weir, also now known as Wizard of West Bow.
He's known as Wizard of West.
He is now known as Wizard of West Bow, and according to SpookyIsle.com, is one of Scotland's most famous supernatural legends. And a historian at Cardiff University told the Daily Mail newspaper that Major Weir's property was recognised as the most haunted in Edinburgh.
Why are the folks from Cardiff getting involved in this?
So what do you think? Was Major Thomas Weir truly evil or mentally ill?
I think, do you want to know what I think?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Go. Well,
I think he was a very powerful man in society. You know, he had a lot of followers who, in the church, you know, he was having sex with them, didn't report it. He was a very powerful man. I think Jean Griselle probably didn't have much of a choice in the matter and had to just go along with it. And I imagine she might have been scared as well. Yeah. But he was a powerful man. Yeah. He was a very powerful man.
And he could have been telling her in. I mean, he's told her that this staff has got power when he's off meeting the devil. So he could have told her that, and that's why she's been, she could have been telling her anything.
And of that time.
Yeah.
And he probably said, like, don't say anything or I'll accuse you of being a witch.
Yeah.
So that's what I think.
Yeah, I don't know whether I think maybe she was a victim as well then. She was, I mean, she was in that house a long time. She'd been, obviously, there was a difference in age and we're having, having sex for a long time. Maybe it was
abusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was probably, I think, might have been a victim as well.
Yeah, I think so.
He was maybe telling her all this stuff and, making her believe it. So it was quite sad.
I mean, we'll never know, but, I don't think I would jump to saying mentally ill. Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff that he said, obviously, is a bit, but that's all of the time, to say, the devil and stuff. But
why do it, though, unless there was something happened when he was ill, or something happened to his mind that he did it? I mean, okay, he's powerful.
No, I think it's an abuse of power.
I know, but why? You don't need
to be mentally ill to abuse power.
I know, I get that, but why is he telling everybody?
I guess maybe because all of the years he's been preaching the word of God, and then he's, done all of this stuff. He thought, right, the easy out is just blame it on the devil, because satanic panic, and then kind of just stuck with it. Maybe he thought, I'm not worthy of God's love.
I do think maybe he thought he's above it and he's like, I can do anything and I can see anything and I've got his protection, so I'll be fine.
I can't comment on that period of time. I don't know what the thought process was
it was 1670. Well, some people have thought that perhaps, whoever said that Jean confessed and she backed everything up that he said, well, some have thought, well, maybe was she taken to the toll booth before? Was she questioned in the toll booth before being questioned at home? And was it voluntary, or was she tortured to back up what he said? All these things. Some people have thought,
tortured by him.
Well, not by him, but like taken away to be questioned by the authorities. And how they were all torturing people back then. So did she say it voluntarily?
I don't think so.
Or did they torture her and that's why she said it? She had no choice but to back up.
I don't think so. Historically, the favour would not be in the way of the woman. And she has had some favour in this circumstance. I mean, not the greatest favour. She didn't get burnt. She was allowed to just kind of hang. Her charges were, his charges were real and hers was the fake ones. But she did get the lesser of the punishments.
I don't know. Not really, because they're both.
Well, in my mind, what I thought was going on, the strangling and the burning. In my mind, she got the lesser of the punishments.
But in reality, back in the real world, she doesn't really. What's burning him after he's dead doing to him?
I mean, I suppose in that time they probably thought that burning him would keep him.
Okay, well, I have to tell you one more thing, and then just before we end, another explanation that's been put out there by UFOinsight.com that, how they've mentioned the fiery carriage. Well, it's been put out there that the fiery carriage could have, in fact, been an alien ship.
Right.
And that's what people were seeing.
And people think that the aliens are coming to Earth to
take him.
To
abduct him. He was abducted, so
because he's so special.
Yeah.
so special. And that's what the aliens want to do. These superior life forms who have the intelligence of 1,000 beings want to come down and just, what? Here's your staff, mate.
Yeah, give him the staff.
And then just like, crack on.
Mm-hmm. That's another theory.
I don't think so.
No, neither do I, but I thought I had to just put it out there.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'm more inclined to believe that UFOs are real.
Oh, right.
Well, there must be.
Oh, must they?
Yeah. You know how many galaxies and stuff? Like, they're not. I don't imagine that there'd be aliens to what we would, the scary type, but superior beings. Yeah, sure.
Mm.
And I don't think they're coming here to give a man a staff. I genuinely don't.
Maybe his words reached them. He's preaching. Maybe reached.
I don't think so. I think they're smarter than that.
So that is our story. That was our spooky story with me and Cole.
I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been good. Nice to be back. But this is a one-off episode, I'm afraid, everybody.
Apart from the next one you've got me doing.
No.
Yeah.
No, there's no another one.
There's storytelling.
Should we talk about that?
Shall we?
So, what we're doing, I don't know whether you've noticed on social media, we're part of a Scottish collaboration of quite a number of podcasts. And for the week beginning 5th of December to the 11th of December, they're coming together to do bits and bobs and go on each other's shows. And there's a number of podcasters and one of our listeners coming on with Nicole to do what we're calling a story episode.
Mm-hmm. More than one.
2 story episodes.
Okay, so what'll happen is I'll start off the episode. The listener, will realise how mentally I am if you've not already. And then that bit of the story gets given to the next person, and the next person has to follow on, and then the next person only gets the second bit of the story, so they don't know how I started the story, and it carries on like that until we can reach a conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully there'll be something a bit weird that comes out of it.
I've just got the final part of the story back and it's really good. You'll enjoy it. So don't forget to listen in. It'll be from the 5th to the 11th of December. That's us. Bye.
Bye. Get out of my house.
Scottish Murders is a production of Clurin Ton.